obviously the role of Rahm Emanuel, the White House chief of staff, the top thug and enforcer of the regime, someone who makes no secret of his contempt for Obama himself at various points. This all-powerful chief of staff, far beyond the role of anybody we've seen recently, beyond Panetta or James Baker III or McLarty or any of these characters. Rahm Emanuel. Now, the research that Wayne Madsen has put together, to which I am indebted for this general overview, goes like this. Rahm Emanuel has become obviously very controversial lately because of series of articles attacking him and defending him that have come out in the press, and it started around February 20th with this article by the Washington Post, Dana Milbank, praising Emanuel, saying Emanuel has been right on all the main issues and Obama has been wrong. Obama's a bungler. He should listen to Rahm Emanuel and not be distracted by his groupies, essentially the swooning brigade of Axelrod, Gibbs, the spokesman, and Valerie Jarrett. And that was followed up then by another article in the Washington Post, and that is by Jason Horowitz. Obama's enforcer may also be his voice of reason, Tuesday, March 2nd. Now, the praise of Emanuel is countered by articles by Leslie Gelb attacking Rahm Emanuel, Michael Moore calling for the ouster of Emanuel. He volunteers to go there himself. Ed Luce of the Financial Times, The Guardian, Steve Clemens from the Left Foundation milieu, Jane Hampshire, Firedog Lake, Grover Norquist, whole bunch of people attacking Rahm Emanuel. So he's very, very controversial. And the question is, can he be fired? And I would say, yes, he must be fired. And here's the thing. This is a brutal political enforcer, a psychopath from many points of view. This is the guy who sent a dead fish to an enemy. This is the guy who plunged his knife into the table repeatedly in 1996, promising to make dead, to kill, in other words, a whole series of political enemies of Clinton at the time. And, of course, Emanuel puts the whole Clinton White House back into perspective. It's thought that Rahm Emanuel may have been the guy who hired Miss Lewinsky into the Clinton White House. But right now it is a vendetta. A lot of what you see going on the surface of politics has to do with an underground vendetta by Rahm Emanuel against his political opponents, and that is to say anybody progressive, anybody in the left wing of the party, anybody who is anti-Wall Street, anybody who is pro-labor, anybody who is concerned about the black community, anybody who is critical of Israeli foreign policy, all of these people targeted by Rahm Emanuel. Now, the spectacular thing we've had this week, Congressman Eric Massa of New York forced out. Now, the beginning point of all this, forget all the fluff, the salacious stuff, and the fireworks, because the guy has been intimidated. The starting point is Massa says he was threatened by Rahm Emanuel, jabbing his finger at him and saying, you better support the Obama health bill. Massa had voted against it. Massa had been out there. He was second perhaps only to Grayson and a few others as the idea of a firebrand Democratic leftist not happy with the sellout to Wall Street and the insurance companies that was going on. So Emanuel, according to Massa, forced him out. Emanuel used the House Ethics Committee and related processes to essentially force Massa out of office. This is what is essential. Forget all the other stuff. Forget all the salacious nonsense that many people focus on. The starting point is a direct attack by Rahm Emanuel saying, if you're a critic of my policies, I will force you out of the U.S. House of Representatives. And then we turn to the problem of the Black Caucus. Obviously not happy with Obama. We have an article in the Washington Post today, March 12th. Black Caucus frustrated but reluctant to say so. Lawmakers think Obama should be doing more for African Americans, but they won't criticize him. Well, they won't criticize him because they are under attack by Rahm Emanuel. Another dimension of the vendetta. It's not just Massa. It extends to the Congressional Black Caucus, and it is that Rahm Emanuel is organizing a reign of terror there. The first person to feel the effects of this is the top black committee chairman in the entire Congress, Charlie Rangel of Harlem, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Brought down, of course, in every politician, you're going to find some violation of some law here and there, greater or lesser degrees of corruption. This is not essential, because you can say that about all of them. They're all dirty in that sense. When something like this happens, why this person, why now, who is doing what to whom? And in this case, Rangel forced out through a campaign orchestrated behind the scenes, once again, by Rahm Emanuel. The next chairman, the Black Caucus, has 4 important committee chairmen, and 18 subcommittee chairs. Rangel is out. Who's next? John Conyers, House Judiciary Committee. Important because impeachment begins there. Conyers' wife has now been convicted and sentenced to jail time for an alleged corruption scandal in Detroit. And we have a whole series of attacks on black elected officials in the Detroit area. Kwame Kilpatrick and his mother, who I think is a congresswoman, is also under attack there. The idea being now that there will be an attempt by Rahm Emanuel to extend the conviction, essentially the demonization of Conyers' wife, to Conyers himself, to force him out. Then we have Benny Thompson. We've talked about Benny Thompson here in the last couple of weeks. This is the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. You remember, it was in response to questioning by Benny Thompson that we had Patrick Kennedy, the Undersecretary of State for Management for Consular Services and Visas, who volunteered this interesting information that the Christmas Day bomber, Mutalab, kept his visa because a U.S. government agency demanded that the visa not be lifted because they were following him, they had eyes on him, and so forth. This is obviously not going to endear him to Rahm Emanuel, because this points out how false and how hooked up and orchestrated this entire thing was. Benny Thompson thought to be under imminent attack for various kinds of campaign finance or gift violations. So Rangel out. Conyers, wife convicted, targeted. Benny Thompson also targeted. Another chairman, of course, Adolphus Towns of Government Operations. We'll see what happens to him. Dingell, Congressman Dingell of Detroit, forced out. Now, this was one of those critical points where the Democratic Party meets the labor movement, always targeted from the days of Harris and Williams down to today, right? Abscam Brylab back during the Reagan administration. Today, Rahm Emanuel is doing it. So Dingell is out and Henry Waxman is in. This is the main issue here is, are you interested in having industrial employment in Michigan, or are you going to be a global warming freak? And Waxman, whatever his other proclivities, is a global warming freak. By the way, Gallup poll, 48% of Americans believe that climate change has been exaggerated. So you go through the Black Caucus, Rangel, Conyers, Benny Thompson, add in Massa, add in Dingell. We'll get to more targets in a minute, but a reign of terror, a night of the long knives by Rahm Emanuel. We'll be back in a minute.